Hello everyone, I'm here with the Dr. Otek MTXR. This is my first initial use with this machine. I've only ever done a little bit of testing with it, but this is a full test. I'm in a wooded area on one of my permissions, and this is very heavily infested with coke and coal. So what I'm going to do is to run it in discrimination mode and knock the iron off. I'm on full sensitivity otherwise, and then we will have a feel, have a go and see what it feels like. At the moment it feels quite a heavy machine. It feels very wrist heavy rather than nose heavy. It almost feels as though the box is weighted. I'm not sure that I really like it, to be fair. The strap, as you can see, is okay. There's a little bit of movement for the arm cup, but yeah, at the beginning it feels quite heavy on the wrist. But we'll have a go. We'll see what we can find and give it an hour or so, and we'll see what we feel like. We'll see you on the first hole. Okay, so there's the hole. As you can see, it's something blue. Let's have a look. Oh, that hasn't been lost very long. Somebody called Freddy. It's obviously part from, I don't know, I would say a cat maybe? Do you know? Quite small, but interesting nonetheless. Next hole. Okay, I have noticed something on this machine. I've been using it for about 10 minutes, and because I'm not using headphones, I'm running on the speaker. Now, according to this, focus, I've already done a battery sector. Now, when I go over, let me turn the volume down a minute. Right. I've got a signal here. Now, when I put the volume back up, what's the battery? It sinks and says, oh, I've got 2 sectors, and I've just actually realised that this does actually have a depth gauge. There. It would be nice if that was actually highlighted in some way to say that's where the depth gauge is, because otherwise I wouldn't have known if I hadn't been constantly looking at the machine. So anyway, let's dig this and we'll find out what it is. Didn't need to take long. There you go, whatever that nonsense is. Big piece of metal, but the pinpointers told me that it was a long piece of metal, but it seems as though the machine itself doesn't actually have a very, very good, accurate... Oh, hang on a minute. Put my arm back in the arm cup. Yeah, okay, that was my fault, but yeah, it's nothing major. Next hole. Okay, we've got the next target. Again, quite shallow. See how long the tones are? They just seem so long. Let's have a look for the pinpoint. It says the pinpoint says it's quite a large target. So we'll have a go. See, now I think it's there, but the tones are so long, it's very difficult to actually pinpoint it accurate. See, now look. The battery's going right off the scale. Look. So have I got a full battery or have I got 3/4 of a battery? Pass. Let's have a dig and we'll find out what this is. Okay, we've dug it out. It wasn't as deep as it said it was. It was only just here. So that is, according to the pinpointer, let's have a look. That was 7 centimetres down. And what it turns out to be is part of an old oil lamp where the wick would have been held. The wick would have come up through the middle and would have been used in houses and that type of thing. It's quite a large one, obviously, which makes me believe that it is for domestic use rather than for out of an oil lamp from a miner's lamp, say. So yeah, interesting find. On to the next. Right, on to the next signal. I've got to admit, I don't like the length of the tones. The tones seem very, very long. The machine's saying 2 inches down. But I think the tones could have been chopped in half quite easily and you'd have been alright with it. I don't know, it's just my own personal preference, but I think the tones are far too long. Oh, I've got another signal over there by the sounds of things. Nope. That's probably just forcing because it's the area that I'm in. I'm down onto 3 sensitivity at the moment. Still using discrimination mode and got the iron turned off, which is doing a brilliant job. I've got to give it that. It's a really decent machine for taking the iron out so that you're just left with the positive signals. So let's dig this one up and see what that is. Okay, as you can see, I'm losing the light now. It's getting very dark and a bit misty. Can't even see out of the farm anymore. So, I'm going to call it a day. I've been out hunting for about an hour and been having a very mixed reaction to the MTXR, to be fair. I don't like the power drain on the battery for using on the speaker. To be fair, I know a lot of people would turn around and say, well, you're supposed to use headphones with a metal detector. Yes, I agree, you are supposed to, but this is a beginner's an advanced metal detector. It still shouldn't be draining the battery that much. For a full day's digging, you're probably going to go through 2, maybe 3 batteries. That's not good. You know, other points that I don't like. I don't like the way that the buttons are side by side. Trying to go through, it's just tiny little rocker for your sensitivity and plus and whatnot, and it just, if you've got gloves on, it's horrible. It just doesn't feel like you can feel the button properly. It just, everything just feels a bit, I don't like the tones. I think the tones could do with it being cut in half at least, maybe even 3/4 in length. There's no reason for it to be sounding as long on to a target as it does. I also think that the machine is having a halo problem. Basically what halo means is that it thinks that there's a target when there isn't one. I don't know what frequency this is running on, but I would imagine it's probably quite low. But it seems as though it's trying to, it falsifies a lot, but then when you turn around and put it into all metal mode, or put the discrimination back down so that it opens everything back up, sometimes it actually turns around and says that there's nothing there. So when you put it back to where it was, it then pings up and says, yes, there is something there. And I've been finding that was happening around about the 50 to 60 mark. I don't know why, but that's where it seems to be doing it the most. But things that I do like, I like the fact that it's a nice long stem. I'm 6'5", and that is a good reach for me. That is a lovely reach. It does feel very nose heavy at this end, at the control box end. And it does feel quite rugged, but it also doesn't feel as though you can stick it in amongst the weeds. It's the top end where the coil is, it just doesn't feel quite put together. I don't know why. I don't know whether it's the bushes at the bottom, the rubber bushes or something, but it just doesn't, it just feels a little wobbly, clunky even. The grip is good, it's comfortable, but it turns and it's not glued in place, so you've got to keep moving that foam back up. The arm cup's comfortable. I like the arm cup, that's nice. However, what I have found is that sometimes when you can't get this on the wire, the coil wire on full when it's completely wound tight. It won't go round again to stay tight to the floor, tight to the stem. So what you're finding is, if you're snagging something, it pops out, and it's a pain in the proverbial. What I would love to have seen is Dr. Otek to have put, let me try and just turn this round for you. What would have been better for here would have been a screw connection here, so that it sits in tight, and it won't pull out, because otherwise you're constantly worried about going into the weeds and snagging the bottom end of the coil. The other thing I don't really feel is very strong is this connection, this bit here where the coil joins on. That, given one good yank, feels like it'd come straight out, and it would knacker the coil. But maybe I'm nitpicking, I don't know. If we looked at it as a beginner's metal detector, would I buy it? I would buy it to see what it was like, but I think overall I would be disappointed. Like I say, it just doesn't feel... I mean, if you were paying £100 for this, I would be very disappointed. However, if I was to turn around and pay £50 for it, that would be a good question. Whether it would work on the beach, I don't know. It would have to be seen, you know, someone would have to take it down on the beach, but I believe somebody has already, and it's okay for dry sand, but not for wet. But generally speaking, for 50 quid, yes, I probably would be happy to turn around and give this to somebody, just as to get them out and see if they enjoy the hobby. But I think you would upgrade very, very quickly. I certainly would. I would probably look at this and turn around and say, right, well, I would probably upgrade that within a couple of, within the first time of using it, to be fair. But, well, next time I'm going to try it on a flat field, probably on this farmer's field over here, and we'll see how it performs there. But, or even go to another permission where I know it's a bit more cleaner, because this is quite iron infested. It's also covered in coal, so it's stood up fairly well. I mean, on the discrimination factor alone, it completely wiped out all the iron signals completely. So within that technology, it's very, very good. I suppose if you forgive its niggles, it's a very capable machine. Very cheap, very easy to use. I've got to be honest, it is quite easy. So if you forgave its niggles, it's a good machine for maybe somebody of, say, a young teenager that wants to get out and try your hobby, and mum and dad don't want to turn around and spend £200 or £300 on a machine. I think that would be a very, very good market for it. But for an adult, I don't know. As I say, I think you would struggle to keep the machine without upgrading. But that's my review, and to be fair, Dr. Otech has not offered me any money to do their review for them. They have given me this machine just to test, which will be sent back next week. But yes, it is a very, very good machine. Well, I say a very good machine for beginners. But like I say, I'm not going to rabbit on anymore. Thank you very much for watching. Well, I can't dig it up, it's too big. So, there we go, there's the pinpointer. So, it's down. Let's have a look. Good. I would say that was a good 8-inch down, just slightly under it, maybe about 7 inches. But it is a great big metal plate. It's huge. You can't see it down there. You might just be able to, but just here. So impressive depth. 7 inches. That's not bad depth. Yes, it could well be a very large target, but it's not bad depth. So yeah. Interesting. We'll go on to the next hole and we'll have a look. We'll try the next one.